and welcome back to my homestead. Today I'm in the kitchen again because I just made this beautiful soup. It's called Soup Kharcho. It's a Georgian soup from the nation of Georgia, and I absolutely love this soup. Mama really didn't make it that often because it requires walnuts, and walnuts were very expensive and difficult to come by in the area where we lived, and we usually save them for baking because this soup has walnuts in it. Isn't that something totally amazing? But right now it is January, it's cold outside, and nothing is better to have a homemade hearty soup such as Soup Kharcho. So let me show you how I make it. So we're going to start by first browning the bones, beef bones and little short ribs, couple of them. And I'm just gonna brown them a little bit right here in the dry, no oil or anything. I have this cast iron pot here, and just for a few minutes just to get a little color on the bones before I add the water to start making my broth. Just roast them for a couple of minutes on each side, get a little color on them, and I'm just gonna cover everything with cold water and start my broth. Is beginning to boil, and see, it's creating that foam stuff at the top that needs to be skimmed and thrown away every time. So don't leave the kitchen until all of this has developed, cleaned, and thrown away. And some unwanted fat will also get skimmed and thrown away this way as well. Okay, so while the camera was off, I've decided to throw in a little bit more meat. And this is goat meat actually I put in here, and some goat bones, because I've decided to make a bigger soup and I added more liquid here. So, but I'm still gonna tell you guys the recipe based on 3 liters of fluid water and about a pound of beef bones with a little bit of short ribs. So now I skimmed everything off, and look how much I took out. Look at this. Look at all this froth I took out. Isn't that crazy? Yuck. And there's a lot of fat in there as well. So now it's, you know, the foam is finished. Now I'm going to be adding my aromatics. And you guys remember my bag of stock bag, and I have some onion peels, as long as they're clean, of course. So I'm going to just throw in a handful, and I'm going to be putting, I also have a bag of stalks from dill. If you guys watched my video about how to preserve dill, so this is too much, I think I'll take a little less. Yeah, about that. So I'm gonna throw my dill stalks because that's gonna add a really good flavor. Also, I can put a bay leaf in here and some peppercorns. I'm gonna put a cover on, and I'm gonna low heat. I'm gonna cook this for the next 2 hours. I want to make nice, good stock for my soup. Okay, let me show you the ingredients we're going to need today. So I made this beautiful beef stock yesterday, and I put it in the fridge overnight to cool off, and all the unwanted fat raised up to the top, and I threw it away. And now I had some beef bones, beef short ribs in here, and then I threw a couple of pieces of goat meat as well. And now I just have to remove the extra meat that was on the bones, because that's also going to be used in a soup. Okay, so what are the ingredients? And some of these ingredients are quite unusual and very interesting. Well, I'm going to use a very large onion, and if you have 2 small ones, really good size onion you need. So this is probably about a cup of onion in here. Then I'm going to use 1 pepper, bell pepper. You can use green or red, it's up to you. I'm going to use a couple of tomatoes, fresh tomatoes. And because I know, and I'm not fooling myself, I know that store-bought winter tomatoes are not the same as the summer ones. So I'm going to be adding a very large tablespoon of tomato paste as well. And then a very unusual ingredient. Are you guys ready? A plum. So really we need to use sour plums, but this is a winter and this is the only plum I could find. So this is a fresh plum. Then we're going to need rice, and I have 3 tablespoons of rice here. We're gonna need walnuts, and mine are still in their shell, so I have to break them up, take them out, and chop them up. So I'm gonna need about 3/4 of a cup of fresh walnuts chopped. Okay, then we need spices, and for spices I'm going to be using obviously fresh garlic, some bay leaf, fresh black pepper. This is paprika. This is half a teaspoon of cumin, and this spice is very special to Georgian cooking. It is called Khmeli suneli. Khmeli suneli is a mixture of different spices that is in here. But if you don't have this particular, it's fine. It's going to be just fine. I know I made the soup without that spice and it came out just as delicious. So what else? If you have any chili pepper paste, you can use a teaspoon in here as well. But if you don't like it spicy, you can omit that. And if you don't have any fresh plums at all, unsweetened, obviously, you can always buy this in Georgian stores or in European stores. This sauce it's actually sauce made out of sour plums and Tkemali sauce you can buy as well. I don't know if you guys can see that. All right, so I'm gonna chop everything up and get it ready to saute to start my soup. And you guys know what it means when you saute the vegetables now, right? You've watched my other videos and you know I'm gonna chop them in small pieces because I want them to become very soft and translucent. Pot, and this is my cast iron pot that I have. I'm going to just put a couple of tablespoons, maybe a little bit more, I really don't measure, of olive oil or any kind of oil you prefer, and I'm gonna start sauteing my vegetables as soon as it warms up. Okay, so let's by sauteing the onion first, maybe like 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. I mean just enough to get it nice, soft and translucent. I'm not looking for that brown caramelized color, no. So this is a medium heat, about medium heat, and let them just slowly cook until it's nice and translucent. Okay, the onion is done. It's nice, soft and translucent, and I'm going to be adding my peppers. So let the peppers cook all together with the onions again for the next couple of minutes, and then I will add my plum and a tomato. Okay, the next step is going to be our plums. Let the plums cook together. Okay, another couple of minutes. Let me tell you, the house smells so good right now. So good. Look at these beautiful colors. Ooh, yes. Okay, so let's not burn anything. But everything is getting nice and soft and all combined. And now the last step for these vegetables is going to be my 2 chopped tomatoes. If you don't like the skins, tomato skins, you can always remove the tomato skins before you chop them. But to be honest with you, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. If you're unable to find fresh tomatoes for this recipe, you can always take the canned whole tomatoes as well, and that will work as well. Okay, so let this cook here for a couple of minutes as well before I add the rest of my spices and my little sauces. So my camera malfunctioned and did not record as I'm adding my spices, and I also added a teaspoon of chili paste sauce that I had, and 2 teaspoons of Khmeli sauce, Georgian sauce as well. Okay, so I think my zajarka is finished. It's all nice and fragrant, and I'm gonna be turning the heat up now, and I'm gonna add my broth that I made yesterday. And it's cold because it was in the fridge, so it's gonna take a few minutes to come to a boil. And I have 3 quarts here. Okay, seems like it is boiling. Oh yes, yes it is. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna add the rice now. Okay, and let that cook. I'm gonna add the rice, and I'm gonna put the meat that was in the broth. And I have some beef here, and I have some goat meat, but you can put only beef. You can make it even out of pork. It's really up to you. So I'm gonna put some of this meat in there as well. I shelled all of my beautiful pile of, and now I just roughly chop them. Some people like them really small, almost like powder, so they put it in a food processor, but I like a little bit of a bite on it, so it doesn't have to be completely small. But here's a little trick that I'm gonna, guys, share with you. In order for this not to fall apart and become all soggy, I'm just gonna quickly throw it on a hot skillet for a couple of minutes, just to roast them a little bit. No oil, nothing like that, just to roast them and constantly turning them, because I want them to get that nutty, well, they're already nuts, but get that little nutty taste to it, and they're gonna keep its shape more when they are in a soup. So just quick roast and constantly turn them, because we don't want them to burn on the heat, but just to release a little bit of that aroma, get a little bit of browning on it, just a little bit. It literally takes a minute or 2, not too much at all, and that will go into my soup. Isn't this something totally unusual but totally delicious? Also, I think the soup would totally appreciate a little bit of fresh basil. Let me just get a couple of little fresh pieces here from my basil plant. Okay, I need to check to see if the rice is done, because if the rice is done, then I can add my fragrant, oh, I think it's done. It's got a little thicker. So let me just grab a little piece of rice, taste it. Yeah, it's done. It's nice and soft. All right, so now I'm going to be adding the roasted nuts. Okay. Also at this time, I'm going to add my bay leaves. I have a couple of bay leaves here. They're going to go in here as well. Look how beautiful this soup is. Goodness gracious. And finishing everything with some fresh crushed garlic. Now I need to taste it for salt, for pepper. All right. Yeah, and this soup is done. I'm going to turn it off. Let me add some salt to it. Again, salt and pepper should be to taste. I did put some pepper in it earlier, but you can always add more, but you cannot remove. So this soup of mine is going to be a little bit on the thicker side, because I like it to be a little thicker in the winter. So let me taste it. It's hot. Oh my goodness, it's perfect. It's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna put a cover on, and I'm gonna let it rest. Oh, it has a little bit of spice to it, just a little bit. Goodness, it's delicious. I'm gonna put a cover on, and I'm gonna let it rest for 10 minutes before I serve it to my family. I totally forgot. I have fresh cilantro to add in here, so I just found a whole bunch of cilantro. I just washed it and chopped it, and I will also add it in here to my soup. Okay, so it rested for 10 minutes. Okay, look how pretty it is. Very unusual soup. We got much thicker. Okay, some people like thin soup, some people like thick soup. Mine is a little on the thicker side. Look at that. So we have Soup Kharcho. And I'm gonna serve it with, I'm gonna be serving it a little bit with basil. Now, knowing my family, they definitely gonna add some, I'm gonna put some meat in here as well, because we have meat eaters. Knowing my family, they're definitely going to ask for some sour cream, because that's just how they are. But I'm just gonna finish with a little bit of fresh basil at the top. And that's it, my friends. This is your Soup Kharcho, my style. It's still hot. Oh my goodness, it's so good. It has a little spice, it has a little zing, it has a little sour taste from that plum. It's perfect. So friends, I hope you are encouraged and try something new.